Joining me now is Scott Lucas, a professor of international politics at Birmingham University. Thanks so much for speaking to us, Scott. You know, this is supposed to be a state visit, which should be largely symbolic, but there's so much at stake right now in the so-called special relationship. Do you think that the big issues, the real issues, will be tackled in any of these meetings going forward today, particularly trade post-Brexit between the UK and the US?
No. And to be honest with you, the British government's hoping that the big issues won't be tackled because they don't trust that Donald Trump will stay on message. You refer to trade, for example. Last weekend, the U.S. ambassador to Britain, Woody Johnson, said, that the day after the UK leaves the European Union, there could be a U.S.-UK trade deal. That's nonsense. It takes years to get a trade deal. And the serious concern of many in the UK is that the attempt by Donald Trump and his advisors to get a trade deal would not be to benefit the UK, but to get leverage. For example, for U.S. agricultural products to come in, pushing back health and safety regulations here, or even U.S. companies buying up part of our public services, including the National Health Service. So I think this will be very much a meeting for show. Theresa May resigns on Friday. The Conservative Party has to pick a new leader. The only thing that I think will upset the show is not serious issues, but if Donald Trump goes off script and once again promotes Boris Johnson to take over as prime minister, thus interfering in UK domestic politics.
I was just about to pick up on that exactly. I mean, he has been very vocal about his support for Boris Johnson, but tell us, from the UK's perspective, the public's perspective, is that kind of support, that backing, is it a bonus or a liability?
We don't know. I mean, we don't know if conservative MPs, which is the first stage of the process, will resent Trump's interference, or whether this will bolster them to support Johnson to go to the final vote before conservative members. But the point here is that not that Trump's effort will be successful, but even that it's being attempted at all, because this has been a 10-month campaign by Trump and his advisors since he first came to Britain last year, not only to put Johnson into number 10, but to put Nigel Farage, the leader of the Brexit party, into a leading position in British politics. Why is that? Two things. One is, if they want a trade deal, they want it on U.S. terms. And secondly, let me be honest, Donald Trump and his people want to weaken the European Union, and Boris Johnson is the way they think to achieve that goal.
You know, it's interesting, too. I'm going to step back because we saw the first day of pageantry, and most of it was about the royal family. And in meeting the royal family, he'd already fallen out with the only American member of that royal family. How does that make Britons feel? I mean, they're particularly attached to their royal family and the protocol that involves that relationship. Did it bother people there, or is this another thing that's just Trump-esque and can be ignored?
Well, the important thing is he played nice yesterday. And again, his ego was being flattered, so in all the appearances with the Queen and the royal family, he was genuinely quite happy. We did see that Meghan Markle, whom Trump had insulted, her husband, Prince Harry, kept his distance, although he was at the ceremonies, and some tabloids commented on that. But by and large, the first day was successful at containing Trump. And the hope is that he doesn't go on Twitter and go off message today. And if that happens, despite all the buildup of how much controversy there will be, how much protest there will be, this all might pass, touch wood, without there being any major unsettling of the relationship as he goes to the South Coast tomorrow for the D-Day celebrations.
Right, Scott, but as you say that, we know this man has a rather sensitive ego, and we're looking at live pictures right now from Trafalgar Square in London, and we can see the Trump baby blimp, floating above a very large crowd that's gathering. By some estimates, they're expecting more than 100,000 people to take to the streets of London today. How do you think that, if it could it kind of push him over the top a little bit if he sees that image that went viral last time back again in the streets?
If he doesn't see it, it didn't happen. Those shots you have of him safely inside 10 Downing Street with Theresa May, there will be a very controlled press conference afterwards, and significantly, London police have kept the protesters away from the street outside 10 Downing Street. The hope is that there is nothing there that will trigger Trump into suddenly taking a break from meetings and say, you know what, I really need to put this tweet out because my feelings are hurt.
Okay, Scott Lucas, thanks so much as always for joining us there. We really appreciate it.